What's going on, everybody? Tuesday night live stream this week. Doing something a little different. Special guests, plural. It's a big word for a hillbilly like me. So, first of all, let's give a thumbs up. Everybody here, see, okay, everything sound all right. We realize that when you click the landscape and other thing, it has all kinds of problems, but we figured it out. Marty's middle name is Special, absolutely. So anyway, we are here ready to go with Bill McBrayer, Katie and Ethan Turk, and the Top Jimmy. Let's bring them on one at a time. Hey, buddy. Good to go. All right, yep. Man. Tonight's samples are provided by the Top Jimmy. Thank you so much for all this and getting them out as fast as you did. And we have the Turks with us.
Hey, how's it going?
What is going on? Good to see you. Hey, Corvette Trey. But we got Bill here. Let's not leave him in the back any longer. He's ready to go, rock and rolling all night long. So we're going to get into some McBrayer. Let's do it. Hey, buddy.
Hey, good to see you.
Cheers, man. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to it. Like I said, when we met you at the Blitz, and we've had multiple streams between Toby and Ethan and Katie and us, and a lot of people in the chat about McBrayer, and we got to try it there with you and the judge, and the 8-year just came out, the bottle and bond, and it really tickled us pink because we just thought it was fantastic. Toby's been a McBrayer fan for a long time. He can get it sometimes where he lives, and that's one of the great things about him is he gets to try this stuff and tell us about it. So we're going to basically, Bill, we want to talk to you. We want to get some questions asked. We want to taste through some of these samples. We've got some 8-year, 6-year, some single barrel picks. Toby's going to work that asset for us through on what we're tasting, and we can talk about it and let you describe it. But anyway, guys, it's fired up. Any questions?
I'd like Bill to kind of give just a bit of history about the McBrayer family, because it's kind of a story that's been lost, I think, and if you go to the website, and by the way, the McBrayer website is fantastic. Not only the shopping side of it, but the history side of it. And yeah.
Well, thanks. Today is Veterans Day, and, the McBrayers, they have fought in every war in this country. So they came over from Scotland through Northern Ireland, settled here in 1737, right? There was 3 brothers that came over, fought in the Revolutionary War. One of the brothers, James, his oldest son was a surveyor, and he came over in James Herald settlement in Kentucky. It was the first settlement in Kentucky, and he surveyed the Wilderness Trail, some say before Daniel Boone, and went back and got his family, and they came to Kentucky and were granted a couple thousand acres for their service in the Revolutionary War. So I think today's a great day to actually talk about that. And like I said, the McBrayers, McBrayer has fought in every war in this country. And my dad, we actually just did a post maybe an hour ago. He's a veteran from the Vietnam War. And so I think today's a great day to toast all veterans. So I think that's a great way.
Sure, absolutely.
So what we start out with, go ahead.
Yeah, so the McBrayers, they settled in Lawrenceburg, and the third generation, William Harrison, he was the first judge in Anderson County. Thus, he was known as the judge, and he ran a merchant store there in town, and he established his distillery in 1847. And so one of the first, he's known as the king of the bourbon industry there in Lawrenceburg. And, back later on in the 1800s, he influenced all of them. There was over 14 distilleries there in just Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. T.B. Rippey worked for him. He helped him buy his first distillery. That's now Wild Turkey. One of his master distillers for 25 years was W.B. Saffel. He helped him build his first distillery. And then he adopted his nephew when he was orphaned at the age of 6. His name was C.M. Dedman. Gave him the money and land for his distillery for his wedding present, and his brand was Kentucky Owl, right? And so, those are just 3 brands that we know about today. But the Bond and Lillards, and all those folks. He really influenced all of them. His brand was known as Cedar Brook. He started out as a W.H. McBrayer distillery. That's why we have the W.H. McBrayer bottle. He changed the brand to Cedar Brook. And Cedar Brook, it was one of the most famous distilleries in the world. He put Kentucky bourbon on the international map when he won the gold medal in 1873 in Vienna, Austria, for the best whiskey in the world. Said he turned the crown heads in Europe from Scotch to Kentucky whiskey. And so he later bought a distillery his cousin started. He started the old McBrayer distillery over in New Market, Kentucky in 1870. That was John McBrayer. WH later bought it, sold it to his distributor, who later sold it to E.H. Taylor. So E.H. Taylor actually owned the old McBrayer brand for a while. And, as we get into more of our history and some of the brands, I can talk a little bit more about the mash bill that we have on that WH product, which is really our flagship product. And we can talk quite a bit more about all of them. So, but that's maybe a little bit of an introduction of the McBrayer history.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's just I love the story about the judge. That's really cool how, back then he was just that kind of person. When you read it on the website, yeah, guys, get on the website, check out these stories. It gives you such a great history. And it's easy to follow. It's in sections on the website. It's really cool. Thanks, Corvette Trey and JG.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that a lot of the names that we know were all predated by the McBrayer family.
Right.
And I know that a chunk of the property that is currently owned by Wild Turkey and has their rick houses on it is the McBrayer farm, and they call them the McBrayer rick houses. So.
Yeah. So for all the people that have visited Lawrenceburg and gone to Four Roses, when you go over the railroad tracks on the way to Four Roses, that was actually the McBrayer crossing, because William Harrison, towards the end of his life, he actually put the rail line through Anderson County, which was a big deal back in the day, because a lot of people didn't want the rail line, and they wanted to keep their farms, and they thought it was going to mess things up. And so that was the McBrayer crossing, which later became a post office. And that part of Kentucky was known as McBrayer, Kentucky. And so with the rick houses across the street from Four Roses, they were at one time owned by Four Roses, but they sold them to Wild Turkey or Campari, right? And those are known as the McBrayer rick houses. So some of the Master Keep editions, they'll say they came from the McBrayer rick house, which I thought was pretty interesting.
That's really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Probably some of the oldest rick houses in Anderson County.
Yeah. So maybe before we start talking about some expressions, you kind of talk about, you kind of bringing the brand back, and that will lead us, I think, into some of the, the bottles that are available. And
you might want to start drinking before I do that, but we can do that.
Okay. Sure. Where do you think?
What's that?
We have some of everything. Where do you think we should start?
Yeah, you tell us.
Well, when I lead off, typically tastings of our products, I lead off with the wheated bourbon, just to get everybody acclimated and
the 100 proof.
The 100 proof wheated bourbon. So
number one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get some Glens. Hold on.
Did you have that one? I thought I saw that one.
Yep.
Absolutely, yes.
Toby was able to.
Yeah, Toby. I mean, wow. But yeah, so we've got that 100 proofer, and then we've got the two bottled and bond 100 proofers as well.
Yeah. So I like to start out with the Cedar Brook just because it's a wheated bourbon. It's a little bit easier to start with and kind of warm our palate up a little bit.
That's perfect. Yeah. And I think I remember from the trail that this was like the historic brand too, is Cedar Brook, and won all the awards back. That's what you were just saying, right? Yeah.
So that
really cool.
That brand was known as the most famous distillery, right? So
Gotcha.
Before Prohibition in the 1800s, T.B. Rippey was making more whiskey, right? But the Cedar Brook distillery was by far the most famous distillery. They said it was the world's choice for bourbon. Now, that particular label was a little harder for me to get. So maybe I'll back up here a little bit and tell you how I got started in the business and why I got started in business, and we'll have a few drinks. And so it was about 13 years ago now. So I've been married now for almost 30 years. I have two kids, 28 and 25. But about 13 years ago, my daughter, the oldest one, we were looking at colleges, and somebody told me to check out Center College over in Danville, Kentucky. And I was telling her about it, and I was talking to my dad about it, and he said, well, the McBrayers gave some money at school. And I'm like, who are you talking about? And he said, it was the McBrayer in the whiskey business. And I remember when I was a kid growing up, they still made Old McBrayer actually here in Cincinnati at the old Jim Beam plant. There was a bottling plant here in Cincinnati. And Dad, he was a sales guy, and I was a little guy back then, and he said he'd give it to his customers at Christmas time. Hey, man, here's a bottle of Old McBrayer. Don't forget about me. And next time he saw him, he said they'd give it back to him, saying, hey, Bill, man, thanks for the gift, but this stuff is terrible. And so, back then it was blended whiskey, right? And there's a lot of full bottles still from the 70s of Old McBrayer because it was about 80% neutral grain spirits, And so I just thought Old McBrayer was rock gut whiskey from the 70s, and there was a cool name on it and all that stuff. And so I said, really? So I'm just looking for the McBrayer scholarship at Center College. And there wasn't one, and I was home all weekend, and I Googled McBrayer whiskey, McBrayer bourbon, and I read a blog post made by Jack Sullivan on prepro.com, and it was W.H. McBrayer, the judge of good whiskey. And I read this blog post about him, and I just got obsessed with that story. And, he was this judge, won these gold medals, and started I don't think I worked for 6 weeks. I was just on Google, and I'm doing all this research, and we have family research that's been done on our family, and traced the brands, and found out that after National Distillers sold to Jim Beam in the 80s, Jim Beam let our trademarks expire, and so I started learning how to re-trademark our brands. I just wanted to own the family brands. Thought it'd be really cool, and so that's kind of how I got started, and I found this attorney, and I tried to trademark Cedar Brook, and I tried to trademark Old McBrayer. And Cedar Brook gets denied because Cedar Brook, there's a wine called Cedar Brook. And I'm like, okay. But on all his bottles, it had his name, and it started out as a W.H. McBrayer brand. And I said, well, can we do W.H. McBrayer? And she said, yes. And then she said, Old McBrayer got contested. And I'm like, by who? And they said, the Scotch Whisky Association. I did get Cedar Brook, though. I'll tell you that story. But it took a while. And I said, well, who contested the Old McBrayer trademark? And they said, the Scotch Whisky Association. I said, why is that? And they said, well, they're claiming if you put McBrayer whiskey on a bottle, you're going to mislead the public. It's from Scotland and not from the United States. I said, well, tell them to pound it. Yeah. And I didn't even say it that nice, right? And they said, well, Mr. McBrayer, you'll probably win, but it's going to cost you $25,000 to defend this thing. And at this point, I just wanted to own the brands. And so I said, okay. So we settled it that I had to call it bourbon, or I had to make sure it said it was made in the United States. And that's what we did. So I had the trademarks. I'm like, all right, I got 2 trademarks. It's kind of cool. Put those in the drawer. And then 6 months later, she sends me a bill. I go, what's this for? I have the trademarks. She said, well, have you used them? I go, well, no, I just want to own the trademarks. Well, you can't own trademarks without using them. I'm like, oh, all right. Well, can I put McBrayer whiskey on a bourbon on a t-shirt? She said, well, no, you said you're going to make bourbon. I go, okay.
Game on.
So I said, so I'm sitting in my chair having a drink, thinking about it. And my wife walks in the door and I go, honey, I think I want to get in the bourbon business. She said, really? I said, I don't know anything about it. So I'm just going to
Here's your walking papers.
Figure it out. That's how I got started in the bourbon business.
That's great.
So I kept doing more research. I had 5 years to figure this out. Told my dad to hurry up and retire, and we were going to figure out how to make some bourbon or some whiskey. During my research,
I found story.
Thank you.
Just this far. I mean, the deep history back into the 18th century, and then you discovering it and bringing it back. I mean, that's fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Well, I thought it was a big deal. I'm like, well, man, I'm a McBrayer, and I didn't know the story about the judge, and he was a big deal. And so I'm like, man, when you started, the whole purpose of starting this journey was really to get William Harrison McBrayer in the Bourbon Hall of Fame. I'm like, hey, is there a Bourbon Hall of Fame? This guy should be in it. How come I don't know about it? That's really how it got started. And then just things kept happening, right? All this stuff just kept happening in my life, and it's led me here where we are today. And so, I mean, this has been a 13-year journey just to this point. We're just getting started, right? Just really getting started. So what do you guys think of that Cedar Brook?
I think it's got, I've been taking notes. I'm going to take notes on everything we do with you just so I'll have it. And we'll get to what we want to do down the road later. But I just kind of want to get a feel for these. I get a very nice vanilla, like frosty kind of ice cream thing off this.
Mm-hmm.
It may have a little bit of fruit for me, like a.
Yep.
Is it like, are you getting like a strawberry or something?
Strawberries and cream is what I was.
I'm just trying to figure.
Yep.
So I think it's fantastic. I think it's not a, I won't say rick house wheat. It's not more like the hayfield barn thing. I think it's got so much of that vanilla up front that it kind of makes it antique.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Y'all say
no,
what you think. Yeah,
there's none of that wheat grain to it that you get sometimes. Oddly, there is a little bit of spice, which I get on some wheaters, but not on many. And so it kind of rounds out the profile along with that fruit and the sweetness that's up front. This is just a delicious 100 proofer. Like it's easy, but it's still flavorful. This is great.
Yeah, this is the kind of whiskey you want. This is hot weather whiskey. You know, this is the kind where you're going to sip it while you're grilling because you don't really want to, you know, be pounding something that's 130 proof while you're outside grilling or whatever. And like Bill said, I think it's just a great start of the evening. You know,
if I know I'm going to drink a lot of bourbon, I'll drink Cedar Brook. Right? It's just one of those. It just keeps going, and it's easy to drink. You know, we get some brown butter maybe on there, you know, a little bit. But, you know, like I said, you almost think it's a rye at the end because it's got that finish to it. But, you know, so we really like how that one came out. That one, you know, we have that one for sale. It's a $55 bottle of whiskey. And that's on our website. We can ship that. And $5 of those sales actually go to our Cedar Brook Rails to Trails project, which we'll talk about maybe later tonight.
Awesome.
That's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
So since you were saying like you didn't get the Cedar Brook trademark right at first, like how did that? Now that we're sitting on it, how long did that take? And
so you know, it took me a long time to figure out how I was going to get whiskey in a barrel, right? And so before I get to that, I'll maybe tell you where we got to first, and then what happened. So, you know, I had 5 years to extend to get these trademarks in commerce, right? And so I found this letter from William Harris McBrayer to E.H. Taylor, and it's from 1870. So when E.H. Taylor first started, he was buying McBrayer stuff, and Michael Veitch found it in the Filson Society in the Taylor Hayes file, right? And he talked about it with Chuck Crowdery on this blog post like in 2005, which was almost like a message board or something. And they said that on the back of this letter had the mash bill he was using that time. And they said somebody needed to remake this bourbon and go in the barrel 105 proof. I'm like, well, there's my business plan. That's how we're going to get started, right? And so, so in 2016, I took that mash bill to Pat and Shane over at Wilderness Trail, and I said, hey, I need to get my trademarks done. Can you make this and use some heirloom corn and go in the barrel 105 proof and make me one barrel? And they go, well, no, we can't make one barrel. Are you kidding me? And I said, well, I just need it for my trademarks, right? And so they said, hey, I said, well, what can you do? I said, this is my hobby, and I'm just trying to figure out how to get my trademarks done. And they said, well, we can do you one run on the 18-inch column still. We'll get you between 10 and 12 barrels. And you know, and I'm like, all right, that'd be great. So we made this bourbon, and I called the attorney. I said, we made bourbon. Am I good? And she said, well, have you sold any? I go, what do you mean you sold any? I just made it, right? And so I'm like, well, how do you sell bourbon? And they said, well, you got to get a federal license first, and then you got to get a state license to sell it. And I'm like, okay. So then I went to work, and I got my federal license. And then I live in Cincinnati. So I called the state of Ohio and said, hey, I need to sell some bourbon to my friends and family. And you guys, how do I do that? They said, well, we're a controlled state. We don't do that here. Are you kidding me? It'd take you years to get in our system. And they said, go to Kentucky. They'll help you. So I go to Kentucky. They said, yeah, no problem. I'll help you. We need your
Kentucky has has an express lane.
They do, but they said we need your Ohio license. I'm like, well, I don't have an Ohio license because they won't give me one. So then it was like dealing with the mafia, right? So I had to get the state of Ohio to write a letter to the state of Kentucky that I wasn't going to bring bourbon to Ohio and blah, 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 blah. And so then at 1 year and 1 day, that's when when it's aged in Kentucky, it becomes Kentucky bourbon. 1 year and 1 day in the barrel. We bottled it. And a friend of mine was a distributor. He helped me sell it. But we were bottling this stuff, right? And my dad and I, we were drinking it. And we're like, man, we kind of think this tastes pretty good. And they said, I know it's not supposed to taste good at 1 year old. And there was Kevin Curtis was there that day. He used to be the master distiller at Woodford. And he came by and he gave it a once over with his nose and said, what'd you guys do to this whiskey? And we're like, nothing. Took it right out of the barrel and we're putting it in this bottle. And he went over, he didn't believe us. So, how are you filtering this? And he went over and checked it. He came back and said, guys, this is some of the best 1 year old bourbon I've ever had. And I'm like, yes, right. So the second year we got 12 barrels. I'm like, all right, we're gonna get better. We're gonna make 24 barrels the next year, right? And then we did 34. And so we did our release. We got our trademarks, right? So then I'm like, all right, I want to get my Cedarbrook trademark. How do I get Cedarbrook trademark? That took several thousands of dollars in attorney bills, several contestants contesting the trademark office. And we were able to trademark W.H. McBrayer Cedarbrook bourbon, excluding wine. So that's how we got to Cedarbrook trademark.
Excluding wine.
But it was our last one, right? It was our last one. And so we started out with the W.H. McBrayer product. We did the old McBrayer product as a traditional bourbon. And so when I had the Cedarbrook bourbon, I'm like, all right, well, what should we do? And we decided to make that a wheated bourbon. And so that's how we ended up with that product as a wheated bourbon. So
perfect.
Yeah.
So just remind us again, what's the mash bill on the Cedarbrook?
Sure. That's a 70-21 wheat, 70-21-9, 9% barley. So 70-21-9. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's really good.
Now, if I had to guess, this is just, I'm thinking that the old McBrayer, the bottle and bonds and the single barrels, that's a different mash bill. That's its own mash bill. And then W.H. McBrayer, the Judge, is a third mash bill.
It is. The Judge will be, we kind of consider the Judge our flagship, and that's that legacy mash bill that we have. And so we call that our legacy. We call that our legacy brand. We call Old McBrayer our traditional Kentucky bourbon brand, and we call Cedarbrook our wheated product. Right. And so
there's Tom Morrow.
Yeah.
Oh,
so we got Limestone Farms in the house.
Hey, cheers, Tom.
Yeah, I know Tom.
Buddy.
Got Gary and when you remember what this one tastes like. Now, do you want to go to the single barrel of Cedarbrook, or you want to go to the old McBrayer? Because the Cedarbrook single barrel will taste completely different than the blend.
I'll do whatever you say.
Yeah, whichever.
You tell us where you think we should go.
What I would do is go to the old McBrayer 100 proof, the 8-year-old.
Okay.
All right.
The 8-year.
Okay.
All right.
What number is that one, Toby?
That is number 6.
Perfect. That'll help.
Yeah. No, you might have to take your shoes off to count that high, Marty. So be careful.
Hey, and use my nose. Old McBrayer bourbon.
Yeah, we got to try the 8-year at the trail when you were pouring it, and that is impressive. that was probably one of the best pours that we had there. We were talking with Marty and Toby about which distilleries kind of impressed us there, and yours was top of the list.
We can work around
yours
that.
was everybody you talked to that went to that event. That everybody had like 3 that. And yours was always in their best 3. And the other ones, might have varied, but everybody really was surprised, pleasantly surprised by McBrayer.
Well, there was a lot of really good bourbon drinkers at that event. Like they were all pros, and and it was our first time there, and we were really happy. I mean, it was a great event for us. I mean, obviously got to meet a lot of new people, but not everybody understands good products, right? And so, and what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish, and the reasons why you do what you do, and everybody was super nice. And we're going to go back next year. I hear we're getting ready to come back next year too.
Good.
So,
awesome. Fantastic.
Yeah. So
I know that the signature event for that whole weekend was the Friday night at Heaven Hill, but I know that by the end of the weekend, many people were looking at what that 3 or 4 hours at the trail as such a highlight, because we're all crossing paths, kind of going, you got to try this. No, you got to try this, and that type of thing. And, so it was great.
It was fun. And so now if you really want to see the difference, you do have the 6-year-old sample. I mean, I thought the 6-year-old was a good product, and it was kind of like my go-to daily, but it was amazing to me how much the bourbon changed between 6 years and 8 years, because it's been the same product. It's just been aging longer. And honestly, it's up to you guys if you want to do a comparison there, but that 8-year-old, it's got a nice creamy feel to it. You got some toffee going on that thing. I couldn't be happier with how that product turned out.
Yeah.
So,
hang on.
So maybe, yeah. So, and so on that particular product, do you have the 6-year-old bottle there too, Toby? You can show the difference.
Of course I do.
So that one, it's got that saying on the bottom of the bottle, and then the one that's got the 8-year says it's a favorite of Old Kentucky. And so, that particular bottle that was a 6-year-old, there was a guy that was a drywaller working out on a bank out in Utah, and he took the drywall off, and he found that old bottle in the wall, and I love the label, and it actually matches the label that was used in all the movies that we've seen our Old McBrayer product in. It was featured in the movie Untouchables with Kevin Costner and Sean Connery. It was also in Deadwood. It was in Far Away with Tom Cruise, and Glory, the movie Glory, the Civil War movie. And so in that particular, and I love the saying that it had on the bottom. But as I continued to do more and more research, we found all these old ads of Old McBrayer that said it was a favorite of Old Kentucky. And so I was actually checked into that. I was able to re-trademark a favorite of Old Kentucky. So I added that to the bottle. And that was a very traditional bourbon that started in 1870. And our brands were part of bourbon for over 140 years. And Old McBrayer became kind of known. It became more known at the end than Cedar Brook did, but Cedar Brook was by far more well known in the 1800s, right? It was in the 1900s.
If you find some of that old marketing, those old advertisements, can you repurpose those? And whether it's even just posters, when you open a distillery and that type of thing. I mean,
I have 4 full newspaper ads of different advertisements of Cedar Brook. I've had people from all around the country that have found old reverse painted glass bar signs from the early 1900s, late 1800s out west that I've been able to get back here. I mean, I had a guy fly to Montana to drive it back because it was glass, right? And we're getting ready to, hopefully do that on our property there in Lawrenceburg sometime soon and be able to display all that stuff. It's so amazing how much stuff is still out there, right? I've had some bottles of Old McBrayer from the 1930s that were distilled in 1917, 1918, like 17-year-old Old McBrayer stuff. Down at Revival there in Covington at Brad Bond's place, he had the Plankton Reserve product that was made from the Cedar Brook Distillery. It was private label for a hotel up in Wisconsin. There's a lot of that floating around. It was a 12-year-old product. It was distilled in 1902, bottled in 1914. And I got to tell you,
Good Lord,
it was the best whiskey I've ever had.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. It was so good. And you know, now the stuff they were making in the 70s of Old McBrayer, it was bad, you know. And so, you know,
thanks,
and,
Beam.
Yeah.
Right.
Sounds about right.
What do you think of that 6-year versus 8-year? I see you got both of them there.
So
Yeah.
the 8-year is so much darker than the 6-year.
Yes.
And has
Yes.
more like
Amazing.
sweet oak and tobacco on it, whereas I'd say there's more like creaminess and maybe like honey on the 6-year.
Yeah. So my goal is you know, with that mash bill, that's a 70, 18, 12 mash bill, 18 rye, 12 barley, very traditional mash bill, but not like super high corn one, right? Because we have a high corn one with our WH product, which is more of our legacy product. And so we've really felt like that was just going to be a great traditional Kentucky bourbon. And my hope is that the 8-year-old can become our standard bottled and bond, right? That's our standard bottled and bond.
Tell you what, both of them have that rye finish.
Yeah.
They do.
Mm-hmm.
I like that little higher barley note, get that little cereal note. Again, I think it adds some nice flavor to it for me, versus maybe the higher corn products.
No, but I like the 8-year. You know, we're seeing a lot of, you know, craft distilleries and even legacy distilleries, whether it's Heaven Hill and Old Fitz doing the 7-year and Beam doing the 7-year, but then you've got Holiday doing the 6 and now some 7-year wheat or weeded bottle and bond, and then just straight bourbon bottle and bond.
Yeah.
So I think that's that. If you could settle in on that 8-year as, you know, the entry level to a non-weeded bourbon,
Are
fantastic.
you going to keep the 6 bill though?
What's that?
No, it's
Is it going away? Or are you going to?
Well, I mean, if I can get it to where everything I have to make it can be an 8-year-old from the bottle and bond perspective, right? But we're going to have to come up with some different labels under the Old McBrayer one at some point, right? We'll have our single barrels. So I'm not sure where we'll go with it, because you can't. I just can't do everything at 8 years old, you know.
no, right, sure,
right. And so that'll be fun to play with that. We're laying down more and more of those mash bill. We have 3 mash bills in our portfolio. It's that one, the weeded one, and our WH one. Which is still a lot. Like, try to get started and launch 3 brands. It's kind of silly.
So
that's crazy for where you're at in your journey, that to have, you know, a weeded and 2 different, you know, bourbon mash bills. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who are you laying them down through now, Bill?
Yeah. So we have Wilderness Trail and Barstown Bourbon and Green River. Okay. And then
all 3. Okay.
Yeah. And then you know, we're continuing to lay down more and more. And we want to make sure we wanted to stay with these mash bills. We like all the mash bills right now. We like the products, so there's no reason to change. Where we go with the brands over time, I have no idea. Right? We're just.
I'll tell you something cool, man, real quick. Toby's done some showing of the bottle labels and stuff, and I know, Bill, we've talked about it on the phone a couple times, and me and Toby's brought it up a bunch. But that antique label sets you up nicely for these first 3 that I've tried. That kind of gives you a little bit of an antique kick. So it follows suit. I think it's
vintage,
vintage be on those. And like I said, these are. I love it.
That 8-year-old has a dusty note to it too. It really does.
I think that low barrel entry proof helps you a lot with that, right? Like that low barrel entry proof just makes it that just gives the whiskey so much more. I'm a huge fan.
That Old McBrayer is actually 120 entry proof.
Is it? Wow.
Yeah, but that one just got that dusty note to it. And,
it does.
And I mean, it's got great legs on. Is that what you're showing us, Marty?
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's got a ton of viscosity to it. And we thought we took a lot of the good barrels for the 6-year-old, right? And so then it's like, man, and we were a little bit limited on what we could use. I was kind of running out of barrels, so I've got a lot coming. And I got more I'm laying down. And so, it's going to take a minute for us to get where we want to go with it, but it's coming. And so, so that's the old McBrayer product.
Yeah, the front of the 8-year, I'm getting like candy corn vibe off of it.
Are you really?
I just can't get away from it. I can't
peach for some reason.
Oh, I didn't even. Yeah. See, that's what happens. The power of suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's all.
You're right, Will. He sure was.
Man, I'm looking at the comment section. A lot of fun people over here.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of people who you wouldn't want to mess with in real life. They're seedy fellows.
But there's a number of people in chat right now that met you at the Trails Hotel.
Yeah.
And I don't think we mentioned it earlier. That Saturday that you were at the Trails was the Saturday that you launched the 8-year bourbon online.
So we introduced it at Bourbon on the Banks a few weeks before that to people, and it was like, wow. And several bourbon, like the Lexington Bourbon Society, came by, and then she's like, man, she was pulling people over to it, and I'm like, all right, it's going over pretty good, and things. Now if you like the Dusty Note, though, you got to go to the WH one next. I think my good friend here, Jeff, he just said that in the chat room. So let's move on to the batch 5.
You want to go? Okay, so everybody has batch 4 and batch 5.
Well, they're kind of similar, but they are different. Do you want to taste the difference between both of them?
Well, of course.
Sure.
Okay. Let's do 4 and 5. So the 4 was the gray label. I actually found out that Sealbox still had a couple still on their website of batch 4.
Toby, give me numbers.
It's number 11 and number 10.
Okay.
10 and 11.
So 10 would be 4, 11 would be 5.
Yeah.
So Marty, do you not have the same label with all the info that we do?
I do, but I was just wanting to make sure I did not pour the wrong thing.
Marty can't read.
Numbers are easier.
James Morgan from London is here. That's pretty awesome.
Everybody loves an ass.
So it's probably jumping the gun. Is there any hopes to add like a rye to the lineup down the road, or have you?
Well, like I said, having 3 labels is hard enough, right? Now,
right.
So what we've done is we started out with our legacy club. So I mean, once a year we do WH McBrayer. That's how we started. So this is batch 5. So 5 years ago is when we launched it when it was a 4-year-old product. Every year we put a little different colored sticker on the box. So it comes in this box. Now, if you guys don't see the box probably, but it comes in this box, and then we have a little bit of a story on the inside, and then they're all serial numbered on the box too. And so when we introduced this product, it was really meant to just to honor the judge, right, and to introduce him to the bourbon community. So we made this fancy box, and I think we're going to stick with it for a while. The box, I mean, it costs a little bit more, but that's a $100 product with the box serial numbered. There was only 2,750 of those WHs batch 5s made. There was a couple thousand of the batch 4s made. And so we started out with our legacy club, and we have our retailer in DC that ships it for us to 40 different states. And the first year we had 1,000 bottles, right? And then we had maybe 1,200 or something like that. And then we got a little bit more the last few years. Now that we're making a little bit more, we're starting to distribute in Kentucky. And we're probably going to look at maybe Tennessee because we have a hard time shipping to Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And really see where we can go from there. And we do that once a year. And so that was the one, obviously, that we started out with. We used an heirloom corn. We don't really tell people for the first time which corn it was for a lot of different reasons. But once you try it, everybody knows they like it. We do let them know it's a Bloody Butcher red corn. And so,
oh my gosh,
which most people have different opinions about that corn for different reasons in Kentucky. But it really turned out well for us.
I think Jeff the Creed has given Bloody Butcher a bad name, but I think they're coming around and it's getting better.
I've heard that.
I think they really soured a lot of people on Bloody Butcher.
Well,
it wasn't the corn. It was the fact that they had moldy grain.
Exactly.
They even admitted that.
But they're up front. Their thing is we're all Bloody Butcher, right? So that people tied Bloody Butcher with that flavor and said, well, I just don't like Bloody Butcher.
And then Starlight did something.
There's another brand out there called Savage and Cook.
Yep.
And they make a Bloody Butcher. And I have both of theirs, both of their bottles and backups. Fantastic stuff. So,
hey, Bill, there's a question.
When I hear Bloody Butcher, I don't think Jeff the Creed, thank God.
I see that Whiskey Knows, W. Joan. You can get all of these bottles are available on our website to ship. Hopefully it's in the state that you're in. If not, they are in Kentucky at a handful of retailers.
You got a 4 out of 5 chance of them shipping to your state. Yeah.
And if they aren't, you want to pick up in Kentucky and you're wondering, I know we in Covington, Revival always has all of our products. There are some in some of the liquor barns and a handful of other retailers that we're starting to work with and things like that. And then there was another question there too. Oh, and Gandy's on here. So Gandy's a good guy. Gandy Road. We did a barrel pick together for their club, for another club. And hi, Gandy.
Yeah, YouTube OG.
Yeah, so
the 5 might be sweeter than the 4. I'm back.
It is
here.
Yes.
Yeah.
The 4 is just begging for me to light a cigar with it.
I can see that, Ethan. I can really.
So I got to tell you, so when we did our first 10 barrels, we got this corn from actually, I think I can talk about it. We got it from the Wood Hat bourbon guy out in Missouri, and he had a Bloody Butcher corn. And so we had it brought into Wilderness Trail, and then we used some for seed, and we started growing the corn there in Kentucky. And so I think when we got it, it was actually a little bit older, right? It was a little bit older. And so when we made those first barrels, they had this funky note to it that was unbelievable. Now, we just got lucky or whatever. And then the second year we were taking the 4-year-old distillate from we harvest the corn and we take it and make bourbon with it. It was a lot sweeter and it had a completely different note to it. Batch 4 had 2 barrels of that very first distillate still in it. And so you can kind of get this funky note to it that you don't get in batch 5 when you take them right next to each other. Mm-hmm. Now, I think batch 5 is next level. I think it's a better product, but batch 4 won Bourbon of the Year on a YouTube channel, a different one. And so when they were doing it blind. And
that was Bourbon and Balls.
Bourbon and Balls, yeah. Mm-hmm. And those guys are great. And so they're different, right? But
I think they're both 4 and 5 are they're really different, but they're both very, very good. 5 has that spicy finish expression again, and then like you said, when you nose it, man, it's just that vanilla barrel, and then that cream, it flows with it, and you just get that spice on the back end.
Yeah, that 5's got a lot longer finish than 4.
Yeah. 5's got a mouthfeel that's warm. It coats. It's everything you want in that type of a purchase. I think it's,
and they're not ass kickers. Both of these are only, they're between 106 and 107.
And that's barrel strength, right? That's barrel strength. So again, you're going to get a lot of viscosity on that stuff. It's thick. It's going to coat your mouth. I really like that. So we really try to lean to that when we're putting these blends together.
4 has an interesting, almost spearmint note for me.
It's I've had people get a spearmint note. Yes.
It's almost like those old school, my grandma used to have in the after dinner, soft mints where it's mostly.
Oh, Andes.
The white ones, the little
the powder. They go to powder.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's a ton of creaminess, and then there's a hint of mint in them.
Yep.
And that's what I get. A hint of spearmint.
Those were expensive. I used to get my ass chewed out because I'd eat too many. That comes as a real shock.
Well, I think that's because you ate the whole bag, Marty.
Yep.
Yeah. So maybe a little bit more about our history, right? So So, he ran a merchant store there in Lawrenceburg. It was one of 2 buildings that were there in the beginning of the town, right? The old building, I think, is still there. We were actually, there's an Airbnb.
What year is this?
Well, again, he started in 1847, right? And so he had the distillery up until he passed away in the 1886, or I think it was 1886, right? And he was in the 60s. And so then, like I said, he put the rail line through Anderson County. And when you're on my website, if you go to, if you see a picture of the old distillery in the background, you can see the Cedar Brook Bridge behind the distillery in the pictures. And so I had always wanted to go see the old distillery site. And so I was I was in Lawrenceburg, and I'm, going around and meeting people, and they're like, "Oh, you're McBrayer." I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh, this is a big deal what you're doing." And it was really great. Lawrenceburg people have been fantastic. And they said, "Well, Bill, the old distillery site's down Cedar Brook Road. They're Upper Sales Road on the way to Wild Turkey from downtown." And they said, "You go all the way back there, and there's some homes back there now. They're home sites." And I said, "Oh, cool." I said, "I'll just go down there and I'll just look around and see if I can find the old distillery." And they said, "Well, Bill, if you go down there, that gentleman that owns the property, if he sees you, he will probably shoot you." And I'm like, "Oh, really? Come on." And they said, "No, seriously, he's kind of crazy guy. Go down there." And so I was actually with Jason and Scott on a barrel pick there at Wild Turkey a few years back, and I met Bill Garrett. And Bill Garrett said, he knew our history, and because he knew how we influenced Wild Turkey getting started. And he said, "Hey, I'm going to help you with that." And then he introduced me to a lady by the name of Joni Clark. And Joni went to high school with the people that owned the property, Danny and Celeste. And she said, "I'm going to take you down there and introduce you to Danny and Celeste." And so we're going down Cedar Brook Road. We go under this bridge. And I mean, it's way back this road. I'm like, "Man, where is she taking me?" I'm getting a little nervous. And she takes me to Danny's house. And Danny comes out of his house. He's got a beard down to his chest. He's got hair down the middle of his back, And I gave him a bottle of the Judge, and he gives me this huge hug. And he was like the nicest guy ever, right? Went to his house. He has like 7 12-point bucks on his mantle, right? He's a good shot. And he and his wife are actually the most wonderful people ever. And I said, "Man, you seem like you're a really nice guy." I said, "I heard you'd shot me if I ever come down here." And he said, "Well, Bill," he said, "I have 50 acres out here. I've had it for 25 years. And when I moved out here, there's a lot of bad stuff going on in these woods." He said, "There was some meth labs and all kinds of stuff that we don't really want to talk about down here." And I said, "Oh, yeah." And he goes, "So I had to get him out of here. And I have a reputation." I go, "Yes, you do." And he said, and then he kind of paused for a minute. He smiled. And he says, "Let me tell you, though, I've never shot anybody." And I was like, "Okay, all right, we're good." And so anyways, he takes me around this property. There's a foundation of the old distillery site still there. He shows me the spring in Cedar Brook Creek that's never gone dry. The spring still comes up, right? And in the side of the bank, you could see where the old pump house foundations were, and you could see where all this stuff was. And then he takes me up on this hill, and he said, "Bill, I want you to take one of these stones. I think the McBrayers built their first home here in the 1700s. And I had Al Young out here, and we looked at all this stuff." He loved and took care of the old Cedar Brook property. He loved it. He still does. He still owns it, right? Met him, became good. He's my new friend. And I go home that night, and he calls me the very next morning, 8:00 in the morning. He goes, "Bill, I had a great time last night. I couldn't sleep." He said, "I got on the internet, and the farm that used to be some of the property used to be part of the old distillery site, it just went for sale. And I need you to come back down here." So I come back down there, and I look at this piece of property, and on the property is the old rail line that he put through. So he donated some of the property for the rail line to be in Anderson County, in Lawrenceburg. And the city had already funded it to be a Rails to Trails project that started this piece of property. So this trail starts at this piece of property, goes a mile to the Cedar Brook Bridge, looking down at the old distillery site, and you go over the property and you end over at Wild Turkey's property. And I was like, okay, I guess this is what I got to do next. It's all these things kept happening to me in this bourbon thing. So I called my wife and I said, hey, honey, I was looking for some property to put a building for our bourbon company. And I said, I think this is it. She said, all right, that sounds pretty nice. You better get it. I go, well, it's 130 acres. And she said, well, you better figure it out. I'm like, okay. So now I have 130 acres in my hobby of my bourbon business that I started, all these years ago.
Yeah.
And now I have, my 10 barrels I started with. Now we have a couple thousand barrels aging, and we have our 3 trademarks, and we have our slogans, right? We have a favorite of old Kentucky. We have another one called with each sip, our legacy lives on. And we use that on the back of our labels. And now I've got a master site plan to spend the rest of my life trying to figure out how to make enough money to build it out on that piece of property. And I'm hoping that we can put a rick house there and a bottling facility at least in the near future. Hopefully get started on at least something next year.
And a tasting room.
And a tasting
gift
room.
shop. Yeah.
And probably some kind of still that makes me a distiller so I can go to these shows and sell direct to you and all those things and take advantage of the rules. And if you have a still, I think you can self-distribute and save a little bit of that money for a little while. And so my journey is just kind of getting started now after 13 years.
Man, sounds like that first couple $1,000s in legal fees is seeming real cheap now.
Yeah, I didn't know what I was getting into, but it's something that I want to. For me, these are legacy brands of Kentucky bourbon, right? And they needed to be, the story needed to be retold about McBrayer, and now I have them, and it's my. It almost becomes this. Once you know something, and you kind of feel, it's almost like you feel obligated. You got to kind of do something about it. And so now I get to hold on to these brands as long as I'm around, and hopefully my kids will want to hang on to them, and we can keep these things in our family for a while. But hopefully I'm doing this for a long time and doing everything I can just to, keep our bourbon legacy alive.
Well, we're going to do all we can to back you because we love everything we've had, and we're all about legacy and the history. And like I said, guys, if you've not get on the website and read about this stuff, about the judge and the properties and the stealing of the name and all this, it's really cool. You need to check it out. So
there was a lot of people used to trademarks weren't around back in the 1800s, right? So a lot of people, when they were rectifying things, you'd see the name McBrayer on bottles, and they weren't really from the McBrayer family. No. And so in the Bonford's Wine and Spirits publication, WH wrote a note. He said, hey, all these are unscrupulous people. I forget all the words he used. He said, so now I'm going to put my name back on the bottles. So it'll be genuinely for me. It'll say W.H. McBrayer's Cedar Brook whiskey, right? Oh, yeah. And so we were able to reuse some of our old labels. So some of the vintage bottles, that font was on his barrel pick labels in the early 1900s. He had a script font on some of the other ones, and the scroll around the barrel head was on all his old bottles, And we used our new monograms. We kind of did some past different things, and then we kept some modern stuff in there too to try to pull that history together on that Cedar Brook bottle.
So I'm gonna sweeten the pot a little bit on the giveaway tonight. So Marty, I think the giveaways, we're gonna do 5 2-ounce samples of the 5-year, correct?
Or the 8-year, whatever you've got. Whatever.
No, I'm sorry. The 8-year. The 8-year. I'm sorry. Yeah, 5 2-ounce samples of the 8-year. I'm going to also pair that, so everybody that gets a 2-ounce sample of the 8-year is going to get a 2-ounce sample of the 6-year, so they can do a side by side.
That's a heck of a side by side.
Yeah,
buddy.
Lots of fun.
I mean, the 6 years not bad, right?
No, it's good. I like it.
but the 8 year is just next level on it.
It
Yeah.
turns it up like times 10.
Yeah.
I've had them sitting for a while, and the 8 is.
But I think it will illustrate your point. The 6 year was darn good, but what 2 years can do, is just astounding. So,
yeah, it's gonna be
right,
fun to see what happens to these things. Sorry.
Where should we? Do you think we should do any single barrels? Do you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how long you want to stay on tonight, but I'm good, and I think you should do a Cedar Brook single barrel.
Okay.
Or all of them if you want to. I mean, they're all a little different.
That's numbers 2, 3, and 4, Marty.
That's exactly what I need to know.
That's this many, this many, and this
him out.
Should we? Oh, you guys somebody want to call one out so we can all try the same thing?
Why don't we do number 3? Why don't we
okay.
go right in the middle of 2?
Do you remember what bottle that is?
This is barrel number 62.
Proof.
62. Okay.
113 proof.
Yeah.
Yes.
113 that was one that we had some. We had a group do that one, and then they only got us so many of the bottles, and so we kept that one out for our Legacy Club members and things. That was one of the first couple that were picked. It's a good one. I don't have that one here.
Hey, when you're down in Lexington, come on by. I've got some.
Yeah, so that's this red label. So
yeah,
or maroon label. I thought this label just turned out beautiful. The color with the maroon on it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And so we, again, it's going to be just I like the 100 proof, but these single barrels are just amazing.
Oh my God.
Yep.
It was like somebody just toasted off the top of a creme brulee.
Yeah.
That's what I got.
One thing I've got to call out, Bill, so many small brands have trouble with blending. They'll have fantastic single barrels in their blends. They're not bad, but they're not great either. They just need help figuring out how to blend. And y'all don't have that trouble. So whoever you're blending, well done.
Well, my liver will tell you I've had to practice quite a bit to get there. And so
you're doing a good job.
So batch
Bill,
4 was
Bill, real quick. Trey's asking which single barrel. Do you remember what you brought to the meetup?
Yeah, that was 286, number 286.
Okay.
That's one we call that one pancakes and syrup, 286.
Can you imagine having to remember all of these barrel numbers and what they are? That's like having 1,000 kids. I mean,
but you
I'm a
always
little
have
excessive.
Thank you, Gandy.
Now lately, batch 4 I did on my own. The 8-year-old and batch 5 and the Cedar Brook 100 proof that you're having, I have a little bit of a team. Brian Smith, he's been helping me quite a bit recently. And then I brought in 4 or 5 people because when Bourbon and Balls, when they made a bourbon year on batch 4, I'm like, man, I got to make sure I at least get it close in batch 5, and we were real happy. But so the WH product is going to be a little different every year, right? And then hopefully we can just keep getting better and better as the product ages. That weeded product, I really want to see that thing get to be 8 to 10 years old. It's just going to take time, right? And I do have a regular business, right? So this is my hobby business. I just hope I get into this one full time before I get too much older,
Yeah.
But I figured it'd be a great retirement gig, and that's how it kind of started out as a retirement idea. Maybe having a few hundred barrels laid down a year, and then and then the industry, it changed a lot, right, over the last couple of years, and people are telling you just need to keep laying down more barrels. I laid down a few more, but but we're consistent with what we have. So as long as we can hold on to them and age them, and I don't have any investors I got to report to. I don't have any banks I got to report to. So we just kind of
just the wife.
Just my wife, and she's a trooper.
This one's got this pancake on it.
So I was actually going to say if they made a maple zebra stripe gum, that would be this. Right? Because like zebra stripe, you got the sweetness and the creaminess to it, plus whatever fruit it is. That's what I'm getting here. It's like it's maple meets zebra stripe gum.
But the flavor lasts more than 15 seconds.
You're right there. You're right.
That was always the problem with that gum, man. It was like great for about 5 minutes, and then it was.
Well, not 5 minutes. Heck, I got like 4 chews out of it.
Yeah. Okay. That's why they don't make it anymore.
Right.
Oh,
JT saw me tonight.
wow.
Yeah, so somebody's asking here, Randall, the Express, some kind of limited edition releases in the future.
That's
probably.
That's the judge.
Yeah, I mean, well, we are kind of limited already, right? We're trying to have a couple standard products. Our judge is kind of our unique thing that we do every year. And then, as we get older, as that stuff gets older, 12, 14 years and things like that, I mean, I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see what we can do with these products and where it can go. I remember listening to Freddie Johnson one time. He said, a master distiller, which we're having it made for us currently, it takes 25 years to know how your first batch came out, right? And then you make some tweaks and do another batch. And very few master distillers ever get to do 3 full batches, right? To see how the product ages over 25 years, right? And so, this is the path we're on right now, and we're just going to see what we can do and where it can go and where the market allows us to be, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
Can you imagine the judge at 12 plus years? I mean, right?
Well, you just never know. I mean, sometimes those lower barrel entry proofs don't age out as well older. They might, but I don't know. I've heard when they turn. And so, you just don't know. I hope so. I hope it's, the very first batch, the very first barrel, my family and I, we all signed it. And I told my dad, they said, that's your barrel, Dad. You can use it whenever you want to. Now, so that barrel is almost 8 years old.
Was gone in the first month.
Yeah, no, he keeps sampling it, right? And so he keeps saying it's for his wake. I said, well, you better. I think he'll be around a little longer. He's going to be 79 next year, and I said, I think we need to dip into it a little bit and get some bottles out of it, and things. But Susie, my wife, like I said, it'll be 30 years this year. We were in the middle of building a house when this property came up, and it's a beautiful house. And I keep telling her that Susie McBrayer, that might be her.
Sure.
Yeah, we're talking about something for 4th of July for our 250th anniversary. That's my wife there.
Here's to you.
Hey,
I keep telling her I'm going to sell this new house and build
Bill.
a barnuminium in Kentucky in Lawrenceburg, but I haven't quite been able to sell that one yet. I mean, I'll sell her.
I don't know exactly where you live now, but that's beautiful country. I mean, that's as good as you find in Kentucky, which is already
I'm sorry,
beautiful.
31 years. Did I say 30 years? We'll be 31 years.
I heard 31.
I think I said 31.
I got you.
We got you, Bill. 31. When is your anniversary?
December 17th. Be 31 years.
Okay.
So I've been married 30 years. 31 years and 11 months or something.
Yeah, my wife and I just celebrated 30 in September. So
congratulations
to you.
Yeah, thank you. And so we've met a lot of fun people along the way here. We've had people helping us, and it is interesting where the industry is going, right? All these people are filing bankruptcy, and it's kind of scary a little bit, right? Getting on the shelves is getting harder. I go to these liquor stores and they try that. Yeah, we like it. It's great. Where would you like me to put it? And they put to their shelf. I'm like, I don't know, take some other shit down off the wall. But,
yeah, exactly right.
And we think we're trying to be fair with our pricing. Like, $65 for an 8-year-old product, I think is reasonable, right? That single barrel of Cedar Brook we go for $75.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
That's fantastic.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a great price point.
I mean, we're seeing, at least in Kentucky, you see the 107 Weller sometimes $75-$80.
Sure.
Oh yeah, that's when you see it too.
Yeah. I think the last time we saw it here, and it's it was not marked up much more than what I know Tennessee can, but it was 100 or near on.
Yeah, Trace's pricing is just nuts, though. It's
yeah, and so one of the first guys that helped me blend our first batches was Dixon. He was super nice to help me. I'm like, Dixon, I got to figure out how to put 5 barrels together. How do you do this? And he showed me, and it was kind of fun. That was batch 1 of WH. And I'm really happy for him with his product, with his 2XO product and what he's been able to do. And he's just a fantastic guy. If I ever have questions, I can always give him a call and ask him questions. And I said, hey, man, you're my cousin. So I took him over some samples before we ever got to 4 years old and over to the Beaumont Inn when he was still there. And I introduced myself to him and said, hey, man, I think we're cousins, distant cousins. And he takes me into his tasting room. There's a picture of the judge on the wall right in his tasting room. And that's when he was still involved with the Kentucky Owl. And he said, something to the effect like, you can never have Kentucky Owl without McBrayer first. And I'm like, oh, there you go. And so, but it's a real shame what's happened to that brand and what people have done to them and what's going on in the marketplace, right?
Yep.
And so
I'm personally hoping that Stoli, now that they've declared bankruptcy in some fashion, I'm hoping they'll sell that brand to somebody who actually cares about it.
Yeah. Well, it is part of the McBrayer legacy. So if the price is right, then maybe we can have our special edition bottle that somebody's asking about. But I'm sure they're going to want a lot of money for that brand.
They probably way more than they can justify.
All right. So where are we going next, everybody? Are we going to go to a single barrel of Old McBrayer?
Sure. And those
I would encourage that. Yeah.
7, 8, 9.
Okay. Yeah. You guys shout it out.
7. Go in order.
Okay.
Yeah, the Cedar Brook cast strength single barrel, that is fantastic.
It's got a heck of a finish. Like I kept drinking it because the front of the palate dissipates, but the back just stays. So it just built and built and built and built, and now I'm going to have to cleanse my palate before I go to this. Otherwise, all I'm going to taste is the last one.
Okay.
Cheers.
You guys let me know where you want to go, and
I think Marty called out.
Marty called 7.
Yeah, let's go in order.
Number 7.
Or I'll have Ethan on my ass for numbers.
Okay, so I think that's the 119.8.
117.8.
117.
Oh,
yeah, that's a good one
It
too,
is
by the way.
117. Yeah.
That label, that was my first single barrels of Old McBrayer, and we made the numbers a little too small. Sorry.
Yep. Yeah.
They will be bigger. They will be bigger on the next barrels. I can tell you.
That's a beautiful.
Yeah. So this, if I'm reading this right, it looks like barrel 16983.
I don't know that number. It's the 117 proof though. That's a good one.
Okay.
I thought they were all pretty good, but the 117 is pretty good.
Okay.
And so we've got a lot of those Cedar Brook barrels. If you're thinking about barrel picks, if you like the Cedar Brook, we're going to be a little bit more limited on our Old McBrayer ones. And then we have been doing some of the Judge single barrels. They just get a little expensive, for that one, gets a little bit more money. But we've done single barrels of all of them. But we'll have a lot more of the Cedar Brook single barrels available next year.
Yeah, Bill, our group is more, we like, I don't want to, how do I say it, Katie, Nathan, and Toby, like affordable bangers.
Value.
Yeah, just something that you're not afraid to drink. You didn't spend $300 on it, and you're afraid to pop the cork.
What I'm saying is $75 for a Cedar Brook, $85 for
that's where we're at. That's,
75, 85 is great value in the market today.
Yeah, even if we did a Judge, it's not going to be. It's going to be.
We've been doing the Judge at 120, right? Because it comes in the box, and we put some gold foil on it and stuff like that. So that gives you an idea.
I mean,
we
that's
just did
really
a barrel
cheap
pick. It
for
was about
down here.
190 bottles of the Judge, right? We got over a couple hundred of our last Cedar Brook single barrel.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Mm.
There's still that antique right there floating right at you.
So I haven't tried this one.
And it looks like they're non-age
Yeah.
dated. Do you have a range that you like to?
So
look
that
for?
those single barrels that we did those were all 7 years old.
So
Okay.
Yeah.
Viscosity is still there, just like the other ones I showed.
Yeah. There's not legs because they're not dripping.
Yeah. These aren't stretch
Just
marks
base.
either. What are these, Ethan? What would
No.
you call these?
Oh no, I've got stretch marks on mine for
Okay.
sure.
Lance and
You're
Chad,
welcome to use that, Bill. Stretch
Lance and
marks.
Chad, Marty, he said he would be in for a case of the Judge.
Who what now?
Lance, he said I'm in
Oh.
for a case of the Judge.
All right.
I mean, for a case of the Judge. There you go. Thank you.
That's what he wants us to pick.
Mhm.
Those are a little limited too, you know.
I'm
You got to
telling
keep
you all day,
to have
buddy.
good blends, but I really like that single barrel Old McBrayer too. Like I just
The thing I'm getting of is how well balanced it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I get
Oh my
the
God.
right amount of rye spice to balance out the sweet.
I'm verklempt. Talk amongst yourselves. That is fantastic.
Marty used too big a word and hurt himself, so he had to take himself off screen.
I fell.
Too many syllables.
I fell.
My Lord, the mid-late palate on this damn thing.
Yeah, so the nose is kind of subdued for me. And granted,
Right.
I've got some sniffles with the weather and everything. The nose is kind of subdued though, relative to everything else. So I was in my head, I'm thinking, well, there's no way this is going to be as good as the Cedar Brooks, because the Cedar Brooks really were fantastic. And the front of the palate, I was like, okay, it's kind of sweet. And that mid back hit, and it was just like, whoa, all right, there it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Each
I
one
agree.
of those barrels were, you might try a second one just because they were so different. You know, I just do remember the 117. I really liked it. And then some of the 119s, one of them has like a really long finish to it, like super long finish. One of them, I forget, they were just all a little different. And so
we just did a 117. We all have a 119.4 and a 122.6.
yeah. Try the
Yeah.
122.6 next. Just
Okay.
try that one to
Twist my
compare
arm.
the difference.
That
Of
one's
them.
number 9, Marty.
Yeah. We're narrowing it down to where I can keep up
I'm
now.
just helping you out, Marty.
I know. No. I need your help. Guys,
Yeah.
you don't understand. Toby sent, what, 12?
Oh, it was a bunch.
11.
11 samples?
There,
Yeah,
it's
we're
everywhere here. Everywhere. There is
Yeah.
whiskey sample bottles.
Not complaining.
No, not complaining.
oh, dude.
Very appreciative.
Especially if you're like Marty and have to take your shoes off to count above 9.
Yeah. Thank God for AI.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian. That is 100% correct, buddy.
Yep.
Bill, thank you for coming on and doing this with us.
Yeah.
I
What
mean,
other
this
questions can
means
I
a
answer
lot.
for you?
Yeah.
You know, our goal is to get the brands back home, right? Get them back home to Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. You know, we do have the
Right.
property. We need to get some buildings down there. We're working on that. It'd be really fun to put Lawrenceburg, Kentucky instead of Bardstown on the back of that bottle. Right now,
Thank you,
Bardstown is
Gypsy.
where I get it bottled, and really get the brands back where they're home. You know, have something where you get to come down, walk the trail. You know, see some of our history. That's really where we're going next. We got to lay down some more barrels, and we got to keep putting good stuff in a bottle, right?
So
And
you mentioned earlier, Bill, the rails to trails. What's the word on that?
yeah, so there's 3 phases to it. The first phase starts in like downtown Lawrenceburg, I guess. It's by the Button Factory, if you're familiar with Lawrenceburg any. And it goes about a mile to the Cedar Brook Bridge. They've got it down, and every time I'm down there, there's people, they walk out to the bridge, and the bridge is still not walkable, so then they turn around and walk back, so they get a couple mile walk in. They're clearing now the other side of the bridge, over by Wild Turkey side. So they're getting that cleared. They're going to start putting the stone down there and making that a walking trail. We've been working with the city. We, on our Rails Trails fundraiser, we've got a foundation set up. Our website is hoping to be set up by now, hopefully in the next month or two. We'll have a spot on our website that shows the progress of our contributions we're going to make to that bridge. We were just with the Rotary Club there in Lawrenceburg. I think they're gonna get behind it, and they need about $400,000 to repair the bridge to make it walkable. And let me tell you, the bridge is 115 feet in the air. It's an amazing structure. The steel underneath it, the way they built bridges back in the 1800s are amazing compared to what they do today. And that's going to be a pretty fun site. And then on our property, we've kind of drawn in some internal trails too. So if you want to walk through some different internal trails someday, hopefully we'll have that set up. And I would say the full thing will be open over the next few years. Hopefully sooner than later. But they're trying to figure out how to do it without state funding, so that way they can do it faster.
That makes sense. Yeah. That's great. Right? Yeah. So Rails to Trails is super interesting because we lived up in Washington State for almost 4 years. And they're all over the place up there, Rails to Trails,
Same in Louisiana.
Yeah. Really?
Covington. Down in Covington.
Down in Covington, yeah.
It's on the,
you're right. I didn't know it was Rails to Trails, though. Okay.
So, this particular rail line would actually go on around to Versailles. So it doesn't go to the Kentucky River. It goes on to, there's a bungee jumping off one of the bridges on the way. But then at Woodford, they use the trail to the rail line, and they have some kind of rail car that you can get on and ride up and down the rail on it. But gosh, wouldn't it be cool if they could figure out how to connect downtown Lawrenceburg through Wild Turkey over to Woodford and back?
Yep.
That would be an amazing.
Well, yeah.
Think about it.
Scooter chores, you pick up a scooter, you take it from one distillery to the next, you swap it out, and you keep on going. You do 4 or 5 distilleries. Just now, of course, the whiskey becomes a question then, but sounds fantastic to me.
the insurance liability.
Yeah.
All right. Has anybody poured the 122?
We have
not yet. But
I'm still on this 117. I can't get over it.
Go for it.
It's spectacular.
The viscosity on this one really is next level.
So, which one, the 117?
Yeah.
If our group is looking to come, do a barrel pick or two, where would you be? And the 120 price point on WH, that's not scary. Where would you be steering us? Where would you be? What would you be recommending?
Well,
and I shouldn't say if. I say when our group comes to do.
Yeah, that's more. Yeah.
I personally like the WH and the old McBrayer single barrels. The judges, I have very few of those barrels that are getting old enough right now. So it's got to be a unique one, right? And so we got to find the right one, and I'd have to figure out, which one of those we can figure out how to do. But they're all just different. Really, I think you should just do 3 and just do 1 of each. Or we do, we don't have to do them all at once, and we can do 1 this year or 2 and another one the next year, right?
Hey, Bill, what type of yield are you getting from these single barrels? Do you know?
Yeah, so like I said, we just did the WH one. We got 190 bottles, and we're getting less on the old McBrayer. I think we got like 170 on the last barrel of that one. And then we got over 200 of the last Cedarbrook barrels. 206, 210, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, a year from now, maybe it'll be a little bit less, right?
And so you said the judge was typically around 120. What's a Cedarbrook versus an old McBrayer single barrel?
Cedarbrook is 75, and old McBrayer is 85.
Yeah, I mean those are great price points.
They are.
I need to get you, Bill. We got to work out the Tennessee distribution.
Yeah, so I am working, like I said, working on a distributor distributor in Tennessee. That's not easy, by the way.
No.
They only have 5 of them.
No,
Tennessee we're an interesting landscape down here.
Yes, and so I do have an appointment set up with Empire Distributing to talk to those folks.
they're central,
so-
aren't they? Tennessee.
I think they carry the whole state. I think,
I think that's.
but they're
who
headquartered in
American uses.
Nashville.
I think.
Headquartered in Nashville.
Now, so
Right.
does that mean you currently do not distribute to Tennessee?
Correct. Yeah, I only
What about
distribute in
Texas? What about?
Well, we can
oh, okay.
ship to Texas through our retailer, but we only
Okay,
distribute
okay.
in Kentucky, and then we ship to
Okay.
the other states that we can.
Okay. All right.
Reasonable.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we've had people come up, and we work with a couple retailers here in Kentucky that we can just have you buy them through, and then people take them and get them. But
Right.
if your club is all over, we could figure out how to ship it to my DC retailer and ship it out for everybody too.
Who is your DC? I forget.
Yeah, we use P Street Wine and Spirits, Prov over there,
Okay.
and we've been using him for a while. And
God, get on this giveaway. There's tons of samples, gift cards. Gandy's thrown in a dadgone 2-ounce sample of the Judge Batch 5. I mean, there's just a bunch.
Yeah, anybody who's just talking about there's no distro, there's distro on this giveaway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Bill, we're going to work that out. It's just a matter of getting where and which location. So
yeah, thank you.
this is game on, buddy.
And there was another, there's some other distributors too that'll work with you on a small basis, like LibDib out there. So out in California, I had somebody ask about it, and we could go through LibDib, and I think they're also in Florida, maybe, and some other states. So, so you're not committed to things long term. You can just do something short term, and it's an in and out, right? So they're not stocking it, but if there's a certain retailer that we want to work through for some different things, we could always do something like that.
I mean,
Cool.
I can get with Katie and Ethan and Toby later in the group, but I mean, I think just what I've tasted today from Toby and Toby, thank you so much for going and digging out these bottles and packing them up and get them to us in 3
Yes.
days is unbelievable. But I think
Thank you.
what I'm trying to say, Bill, is I think Katie and Ethan, y'all jump in on this too. Is this might be something that
Yeah.
we can do online?
That was only 60% of the samples.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
this
I
is something I think
it
we
would
may
be.
not need a store that we might be able to do online.
Yeah.
So we'll figure this out, because this is the price point, like I said, of these bottles. You're not going to beat it. And the quality and everything that we're nosing and tasting is just mind blowing for
and
what you're charging. I mean, am I missing
I
something?
was saying in my head, I'm thinking, well, at this point, like the WH McBrayer is great. It's got to be the Cedarbrook until this one. This 122 proof is like, whoa.
Yeah.
Right.
This is a freaking flavor bomb. It's nuts, right? Like the Cedarbrook is delicious. I love the flavors, plus it's crushable. Like that's a bottle that would just it would develop a hole in the house and disappear.
Yep.
But this one, wow. This 122 proof is just this
All
crazy.
right, I need to pour it yet. I haven't poured it yet.
And
I
that's
want to say hi to
what-
Girth out there. I see Girth on the here. He just donated.
You
to
probably met Girth at the trails.
I did, and those single barrels of the Judge come in about 107, 106, 105.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, that's perfect.
It's
So-
hard
so-
to get Girth. He's like one of the few people in the world that's taller than me. So
Yeah. Girth walks around at about 6'10". So,
yeah.
you know,
With the
everybody
afro- with
is
the afro
literally
instead of
existing in Girth's shadow.
Yeah.
You know?
And Ethan's what, 6'6", 6'7", somewhere
Mm-hmm.
in that range. They are two very tall people.
But Girth hunches to about 6'8", so we kind of look the same.
Thank God, they smell so bad.
No, you guys had it was such a great time that day. It was a long day, I gotta tell you.
Bill, who was there with you? Who was
That was
your-
Brian. Brian's been helping me do some blending. Brian I've met because he does some bourbon dinner taste like pairings. And so he had paired our bourbon. He was here in Cincinnati and we got introduced and he said, well, why don't you come over to my house and I'll cook you dinner and we'll pair up some bourbon together. And I'm like, you do a pretty good job with this. You got a pretty good palate. And I just really practice a lot and drink a lot and try to figure out how to blend them together. You want to come over and blend with me sometime? And, you know, we've gotten along real well, and he's doing a nice job helping out. And you know, we're pretty small. So I'm like, hey, man, like, we're just going to hang out and blend bourbon. It's not like I could pay a lot of money here, you know?
Yeah, I've got a cousin.
I'll pay you in bourbon.
I've got a cousin, Bill, that's kind of new into blending, and we may need to reach out to her later.
Yeah, I've heard of her. She's, you know,
right,
kind of weird.
Might have a good nose. Got a good nose on her.
Yeah, that's the rumor. Yeah,
I've heard that.
She is such an amazing lady.
She's so freaking genuine. Like it's nuts.
Ethan can't believe we're related. I mean, that's the whole bottom line.
I mean, you know, obviously we know where the brains went in the pool, so that's at least that's it.
And the looks. I mean, come on. Yeah.
Well, that's fair too. I was trying to give him the illusion of some win, Toby.
Yeah.
But like we had the pleasure of hanging out with her for a while at Still Austin on a pick, and she's so freaking genuine too. Like what you see is what you get. She's just a nerd who loves whiskey and has so much knowledge, right? We went for a pick and got like a 3-hour master class on distilling and cognac procedures and processes. It was bonkers.
I would imagine she could help us come up with some good ideas for our other barrels of Old McBrayer that are not 8-year-old bottled and bond bottles.
Mm-hmm.
So I am a believer after listening to her and tasting it, the Petite O that she makes. It's a cognac process, right? She's talked about it. But that whole thing. Basically making barrel-aged water to proof down your whiskey. Wow. It's
still lost in tanager.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Nuts.
We were talking about that one time at one of the distilleries, and you know, the big brands, some of them will do that. They'll fill their barrels full of water and then age them and use that as their water because they get like 6% more yield too. So you actually get more yield. You know, now if you're a small guy, it's not that big a deal. But if you're Jim Beam, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the thing for most people is, do you have the space? Right. As long as you have the space for the barrels, then it makes perfect sense. Right. Yes,
that's true. But I think that's a great idea. And again, when we can control 100% of the process on the blending side and the bottling side and things, I think we'll have a lot more opportunity to do some new things.
Well, and like what she was doing, like with the Petite O and all that, it's, you know, adding whiskey to the water, not water to the whiskey, which is super interesting, right? And talk about how it is completely different. Like I think she was talking about the esterification. Like it just creates a different profile, different mouthfeel, different texture.
So how would you guys rank the 5 labels you tried? Could you rank them? Because when we started out with Cedarbrook, we're like, Cedarbrook 100 proof, we like it. It's good. It's good $55 bottle, you know, but I feel like they kept getting better for you tonight.
I love that weeded mash bill, man. I think
we drink all these.
It's very, very solid. Like I said, when I took the notes when we first started, that light smooth wheat, some fruits, that very nice vanilla, and it killed with that rye finish. I think that is spectacular for that money because it's not funky at all, Bill. It doesn't funk you out.
There's no wheat funk. No wheat
funk that a lot of people will turn against. I think that one is spectacular for a great beginner bottle for somebody that's getting into it. The 8-year is a standard. You've got to make sure that damn thing is released all the time. That thing is just peachy rings, vanilla. The legs on that thing was crazy. It gave you for me, it ended up turning into cotton candy. I'm trying to do the best I can with notes. But yeah,
that's a great note.
That is really so rich and thick for an 8-year, especially at bottled and bond. That thing, I would say, y'all jump in. I think the proof is pretty much spot on. With the rye finish, it may come across as about a 110 in a blind, but I think it holds its proof pretty good on the 8-year. And then when we start getting into the judge 4 and 5, that just kind of takes a completely different turn. We started getting, Ethan, was that where we started getting the pancake syrup, the maple and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Can you remember? I kind of.
And
the maple flavored zebra stripe.
And that carried into the single barrels. Yeah.
These old McBrayer bourbon single barrels are just, holy smokes.
Well, and the Cedar Brook single barrels, those are like.
Yeah, right.
So, of the 100 proofers, the Cedar Brook is my favorite.
Really?
I like the Bottled and Bond. That Cedar Brook, though, something about the combination of you get the spice and the fruitiness, and the proof is at the perfect point. Like, it just gets all the right notes. It's crushable. I would kill that bottle in a heartbeat.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
I will tell you that there are people that like wheated bourbons. They get that and they're like, man, this is great. And most people, majority of people go towards the bourbons, not the wheateds. But if you like, there are some people that they just want that wheated 100 proof bourbon and they love it.
That's what's weird, Bill. Normally I would actually prefer a straight rye. I like the spiciness and the punchiness of rye. So
but you called that out though, that 100 proof wheater has some rye spice on the
back end. It's got the spice, and so it's another layer of flavor added to the overall structure of everything. Yeah, it's just it's fantastic.
Well, especially for $55, right?
Shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. In my head, I'm trying to think of what I would compare it to for $55, and I got nothing. I keep going back to like the James E. Pepper decanter bottle, but that's a little more expensive and a little higher proof. So I don't think that's a really fair comparison.
It's better than the Penelope.
Profile-wise,
it's better than the Penelope wheated.
Oh yeah. Honestly, the only direct competitor I can think of is Antique 107. And it's still got more going on. It just is at the right proof point, and the flavor profile is good. The Cedar Brook has a little bit more going on to it, though.
Maybe the Southern Stars.
Which ones?
The Evernorth one. That we get
Southern Collective.
No. Southern the one out of South Carolina, North Carolina. I forget.
Oh, sorry. Southern Distilling.
Southern Distilling.
So the one I've got.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Southern Distilling is.
But those are all single barrels.
Those are.
So that's not fair, right?
Not
I was trying to think of like a fair comparison.
But like flavor profile, it is.
You guys mentioned it, so I'm going to bring something right back. Hang on.
Yeah. So no, you're right. That's a similar wheater profile there.
Mm-hmm. Where you get that fruit, you get the spice. Mm-hmm. It doesn't drink its proof.
But that's a single barrel. So again, that's not fair in my head, right? I'm trying to do like with like, and as far as 100 proof blends, like
Girth said maybe Ben Holiday wheated, Bottled and Bond wheated.
The Ben Holiday wheated has been good for me, but I've gone to the Rickhouse proof time and time again. Looks
like the barbecue Ed is asking how you felt it compares to the old Fitz 7-year-old bottle.
It blows the old Fitz out of the water.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what you're looking for. This is more complex than the old Fitz 7. Yeah. The old Fitz 7 is sweet and fruity and crushable. So it depends on the day. It depends on where you're at, though, right? Some people, they're seeing the old Fitz bib for $60. So 55 to 60, but other people are seeing the old Fitz bib 7-year bib for $100. So it's not a bad comparison.
You got all the decanters.
Oh, that's the new one, Jimmy. Yeah.
Yeah. So this one is what we all had 6 months or a year ago. This is now the single, barrel version of this guy. And then this one is the elevated release of both of these.
What's the proof on those other two?
Okay,
the normal's like 1 at 6.
So this one is going to be 109. This one is 109.2.
Okay.
This one is 110. This is 111.6,
Okay.
and this one is 104.
Oh wow. Okay. So Marty, what he just did is called math. It's not magic. Don't be afraid.
Anyway, moving on. We still have 3 here yet to pour, guys.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, we can't keep Bill on forever.
Bill,
I thought maybe we would
appreciate
do.
all your
We've
time.
done two single barrels of bourbon. Maybe we should do one more single barrel of the Cedar Brook. I was thinking maybe we go all the way up to the 117.2
Heck
on the
yeah.
Cedar Brook single barrel.
Yep.
All right. Show that, Toby. I want you to show that bottle so we know the labels and stuff. There we go.
That's a great label. What is it? It makes me think of another contemporary brand that I can't pick. That color red and the shade. I don't know. There's another shit.
There we go.
Tip of my tongue. Nope, not coming. Looks great. Looks fantastic. But there's another again, similar bottle, similar label, similar color that it's my brain is trying to connect. And
Bill, I'm
pretty good.
I'm not familiar with the other one. I just
Bill,
know that maroon color looks a lot like the Weller label. And
it definitely does. But that's honestly the Weller label, while
Better.
good, that goes way down in my rankings just because it's so hard to get way down.
Rebel.
Maybe I don't know. So a lot of the Rebels have been hit or miss for me lately, so I don't think about them very often.
The shape of that label was kind of interesting. We went with it, but it was different than the other two, right? We've got that traditional label, this rectangle label on the old McBrayer, and we have that shield-looking label, I guess we would call it, on the WH product with our monogram on the top, and so we wanted something to just be different, and that I thought our marketing team did a really nice job with that.
Yeah, it's great. It comes off more modern for me.
A little bit.
I don't know if it's the shape or the color or both, but it comes off a little more modern, a little bit more contemporary. Again, good or bad, I guess it depends on the person, but
we're going to try it. We are working on a little refresh for the website. We're going to keep all that history on there, try to add, get it more around all the different brands, the different brands of our portfolio there. Because when we started that website, we only thought about the WH product and introducing the judge to the community. And so we got a lot more assets, I guess, when I call it, pictures and different things going on right now. So hopefully sooner than later. But when I get into it, I overthink it, So
yeah, so we do coffee, Bill, and so I get it. On the business side of it, there are times where I find myself in like some weird spiral, and I'm like, "Whoa, stop!"
Yeah.
This
well,
is
you want to.
productive.
We're new. I want to really protect these brands, right?
Yep.
I don't want to do anything too crazy. I don't want to be, I want to protect them, right? Because they're worth protecting, and you don't want to do anything in the wrong way. You really hope you don't put out a bad bourbon, right?
Yep.
Feel like every year we get a little bit better. Product gets a little older, and so now we're ready to introduce ourselves a little bit more to some more people. And you can't rush this stuff, right? These guys that have started these bourbon businesses, we're gonna, spin them up and flip them and do all that. And I mean, a couple did, obviously, like Blue Run, they flipped theirs, and now that they just wrote down that brand.
Yeah, right. And they just left Molson Coors holding the bag is all they did,
Yeah, I mean, I guess good for them. They cashed out, but that's not what this is about for me, right? This is about preserving a legacy and doing it slow and
so Bill, let me ask you something. When we've not really asked you, it's just kind of the legacy and I mean you've came into something, or no, let me back that up. You have picked back up on something that is so legacy that most people can't imagine. When did your bourbon journey start for you?
Yeah. So Well, it was when I learned that story about 13 years ago. I mean,
I can't imagine. I'd have fell out of the chair. No,
well, I didn't work for 6 weeks. I'm just like, huh? And I mean, and so we're pretty blessed as a family. The McBrayers have been studying our genealogy in the United States for over 100 years and documenting it. So we have a genealogy book that thick from the 1980s with all of our McBrayers in the United States. And so then I went and met these a couple of these historians, right? And well, the one, he was in Michigan. His name was Bob. And the book was written by Charles McBrayer. And I'm like,
oh yeah.
I'm like, well, what happened? You know, like you don't talk to him anymore, and what's going on? And they said, well, he's wrong he got mad at me because, you know, my dad used to do it, and his dad used to do it, and then we started doing it, and then he was making up stuff. So then they didn't talk to each other. And so one guy was putting all the family records over here, another guy was putting all the family records there, and they're both getting to be 90 years old. And I'm like, well, what are you guys doing? So you know, how's the family records now? This guy. Now I got 35 file boxes of the family records that go back 100 years, right? And so, you know, so I learned this stuff, and I mean, we were fortunate. We have all this history, and it's like, well, what do you do with it, and how do you preserve it? And you know, back 14 years ago, bourbon was just kind of getting started, right? So then by the time I started figuring out what I was going to do, and you know, they didn't have contract distillers in Kentucky, right? They had MGP, right? So Wilderness Trail was one of the first ones, and I was trying to figure out how to do it, and I was going to put a still in, and I'm like, no, sorry, the janitors just showed up. I'm still at my other office, and so you know, you just kind of keep plugging along, right? And I'll tell you the best part about this bourbon journey that I've been on, Marty. This is for real. So like my kid, you know, she was playing volleyball, and we'd go to volleyball tournaments, and
been there, done that.
Right. So afterwards, we go out and have a couple drinks, and I'd be telling these dads about this bourbon story. They're like, you know, and my family, they kept hearing the same stories over and over and over and over. And so, you know, when you have a teenage daughter, you know, it's easy to be embarrassing, right? Oh, Dad, when we go out tonight, don't talk about bourbon. You're embarrassing me. And I'm like, it's a great story. It's a great story, right? No, Bill, Dad, you can't talk about this anymore. I'm like, whatever. So, you know, what started out as hey, honey, I'm going to get in the bourbon business. And after dinner, you know, I'd go pour a glass of bourbon, because when you have teenage kids, there's a lot of reasons to pour bourbon after dinner. And they said, you know, you have a drink tonight? I'm like, well, no, honey, I'm still working. This is product research, right? And so I was doing product research forever. But what's really cool is what started out as some crazy idea, and you keep plugging along at it every day, right? You just keep getting a little better year over year. Now my daughter's 28, my son's 25, and this thing has become real. Like, we're actually a real little business. We have bourbon, our brands are out there. Well, first off, now I'm cool, right? But I think the best thing is you know, you start something, and if you keep getting a little bit better every day, you can get there, right? You just keep plugging away, keep getting a little better. And I got to see this little entrepreneurial journey get started, that it's possible, right? Yeah. And it's possible. And I think of all the things that have happened, I mean, I spent a lot of time with my dad the last 12 years. My wife, she helps me write newsletters, and we've learned a lot about drinking bourbon together. And she now will have a glass of bourbon with me once in a while, which is really cool too, because the first time she tried it, it was bad. And, you know, my family, it brought my family together a little bit. And, you know, it's given me something else to do, maybe a little bit too much. And I probably need to get rid of my other business at some point, but just for somebody to see what an entrepreneurial journey can be, right? Yeah. And it's possible. And I think that's probably the best thing that's ever happened from this part of this so far in this journey.
Did you, Bill, I know you said you had stacks of information and stuff from the history and all that. So when it came time after the purchase of the property, when you were all in, how was it pretty hard for you to pick out the history to share, or did you pretty much know what you wanted to say and share to the public about the brand from back then to where we are now? Because there's a whole lot there.
Yes.
Especially with the stealing of the name, the judge himself being a judge, and, you know, and then the property and the water. And, you know, I find that, like, how do you condense that to where it's a story that, like, you just go like, holy smokes.
Well, yeah, I mean, our story on the website, right? We're ready to add to that. But I mean, it's 14 blocks of different things going over, you know, 100 years of history or 175 years of history, really resurrecting the brands. And we haven't updated since we did our first barrels. Like, we haven't updated that story to where we're at today, which is one of the things we need to do on that website. And yeah, I mean, you know, there's probably a few things that we could share more about, like with D.L. Moore and his son-in-law taking over and the lawsuit that happened, and getting into that a little bit more, and Julius Kessler and all the different things that happened. But my marketing team, I did hire a marketing team to help me, and they've been with me the whole time. And she's done a wonderful job. It's just a small group, a couple ladies, and they've done a good job of helping me put the story together.
Well, they nailed it. I mean, it's fantastic. And
so,
like I said, they hit the high points. Go ahead, Toby.
So, a couple things. I went to college and grad school to be a college history teacher. That's not what I did professionally, but what I see in you is somebody that discovered history along the way and maybe fell in love with the history as much, if not more, than the brown liquor.
Absolutely.
And I think, and you're not the family historian. You're almost the family curator. And I think, you know, and I mean that because that's a whole different thing. But so if I'm looking at this from a historical perspective, your family had to have gone through Prohibition. What did the years of Prohibition look like, if you know, for your family? Yeah.
So what happened was, when W.H. passed away in the 1880s, he willed it to his grandchildren, and his daughter had passed away, but her husband was D.L. Moore, and he was a distiller, and he was over at D.L. Moore, and I forget the name of his brand. And then he ran the distillery up to 1899, and then he sold it to the Whiskey Trust. So there's a lot of people out there that were really mad at D.L. Moore because he sold it to the Whiskey Trust. Built this huge mansion in Harrodsburg, Kentucky, and it's actually just got renovated. It was like a castle. And he was in the banking world and all these other things. So he sold the business. And the Whiskey Trust, you know, Julius Kessler, he ran the business in the 1900s, and he advertised Cedarbrook as the most known brand in the world, right? And it was one of the most expensive brands in the world, in the country at the time. And then the old McBrayer product, right, was actually purchased by E.H. Taylor. So in the early 1900s, it was made at what's now Castle on Key. So that label that's on that bottle was actually bottled at the Castle on Key distillery in 1910.
Holy shit.
So then both of those brands were made during Prohibition by the American Medicinal Spirits Company, right, which then became part of National Distillers. So the National Distillers own the brands after Prohibition. So the family really didn't. Yeah. J.H. McBrayer was involved with the E.H. Taylor in the early 1900s. He got back involved in the business, but really the family didn't own it much after that, right? And but they survived, and they actually tore the distillery down in the 1920s, and when they were tearing it down, it was in the city of Lawrenceburg. There was a history book about the city of Lawrenceburg. When they tore it down, they had there was some empty bottles. There was some old newspapers from the 1880s when they expanded the distillery, and it had a list of all the names of the people that were working in the distillery at the time. And I have that on one of the blog stories about Cedar Brook on the website under our blogs. And it was like 25 people, and there was a Beam in there. There was W.B. Staffel, and all these Bond. I think there was a Bond in there as well. And you know, that was really cool to find and to see. I actually need to go back, and I got to call this guy. He had an old mill that he bought there in Lawrenceburg, and he was out there, and he found one of the old metal branding things that they used to brand the barrels with, right? So it has W.H. McBrayer, Cedar Brook, DSP 44, Lawrenceburg, Kentucky, on this branding iron. It's like this big around, and I need to go see him. There's one of them at the
you have to get that back. Holy crap!
There's one. There's one at the Oscar Getz Museum too in Bardstown.
Oh, really?
Right?
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. And so there's just all these new things that are kind of coming to light and out there, and I guess there's history, and then there's marketing, but I love it. The history is really the fascination of who he was. Right, was the first thing, and how big a deal he was for the community. He built the Presbyterian church in town. He's a devout Presbyterian, right? They donated money to one of the colleges that actually became Center College. So he donated to Central University, which is actually over by EKU, Eastern Kentucky, but they merged at one point with Center College in Danville. Mm-hmm. And then I'm checking out, then I'm going down this rabbit hole with history at Eastern Kentucky, and then I realized that the basketball arena is named McBrayer Arena, right? At Eastern Kentucky, and it's just like you just keep going down these things, and you could just keep going. We're working on a documentary right now. Bo Cumberland is for Lawrenceburg bourbon community. Right?
Oh, that's awesome.
And if you're in Lawrenceburg, the McBrayer Cemetery is there. And he just posted about it on his Facebook post. Right, it's got Sappho and Bonds and Rippies and McBrayers and all these and all these guys in this cemetery, and it's just like, wow, these guys were making some of the best whiskey. The best whiskey in Kentucky, in my opinion, around the Civil War era, was made in Anderson County.
Wow.
I don't think you'll have any arguments from that.
Right, and at that time, McBrayer, they talked about, they got a little post on the city of Lawrenceburg site about it. They're calling themselves the capital of the bourbon capital, the distilling bourbon capital of the world, right? Like, I think they're the pre-prohibition capital of the world for bourbon. They actually offered the capital of bourbon to Lawrenceburg before Bardstown, but in the 1960s, some of the people in the city there, they were pretty religious. They said, we don't want that associated with our community. So they gave it to Bardstown, right? But I would say, McBrayer influenced all of them. And I think it was at least the pre-prohibition capital of bourbon, right? And I think there's a whole history there to talk about. Commonwealth is bringing back their distillery there where Pappy or Julius Van Winkle used to bottle Pappy, right? But right behind that is Hammett's Creek. And that's where J.H. McBrayer, his cousin, started the distillery in 1847 in the house right behind it. And so it just, these things just keep going. And I need a place just to tell my history, really.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
hey, Bill, I tell you what, I want to let's give away some whiskey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's wrap this up.
Don't go away. We're going to do this. We'll close it out. We want to talk to you for a second. Guys, thank you all for everybody that's donated. We've got so much to give away. I've got it written down here. We got 7 giveaways. And before we get into that, I just want to thank Bill for really coming on tonight is one thing, but the research he's done back into his family's history has really just rejuvenated something we needed. And when I say that, it's like we can buy stock whiskey all day. We need some legacy. We need some family
authenticity.
We need something that's real. And I've told you, Bill, on the phone multiple times that it even starts with your damn label. The label is just authentic.
Well, and somebody said it earlier, right? Like, you've got so many brands who are creating stories and history, and you don't have to. You've got it in spades.
Mark, go ahead. Yeah,
thank you.
No, you're right. So
Bill doesn't have to
Thank you.
create anything. He doesn't have to
All you have to
embellish
do is unearth
anything.
it.
Yeah.
Go dig a hole. Like there it
Right.
is.
It's easy. All I got to do is figure out how to put good bourbon in the bottle. It's easy.
Yeah, easy. Marty
That's
can't
fun.
count to 10, but you're putting good bourbon in the bottle. Well
there
done.
you go. Hey, I never claimed to be good at anything but sleeping. Yeah, Mark's a great story. Yep. Let me get Mark added, and we'll do it.
You want to cut off super chats, Marty?
Yeah, you got a couple minutes, guys, and that'll be it. Great odds. So
Bill, if what is the 5 year? Give us an idea what you would like for the next 5 years to look like.
Yeah. If I could have a crystal ball for the next 5 years, I would love to have that piece of property with 2 or 3 different buildings on it, right? A rick house, bottling line, probably some kind of still. Maybe we'll have some kind of nice visitor center, like really nice visitor center. Have some bridges crossing over our creek that gets us over to the walking trail and down to doing some different things. I think there's just so much there. And, we'll probably, hopefully we're selling, a few hundred barrels of bourbon a year. And then we're looking at the next phase, right? Of scaling and maybe getting to 600 or 1,000 barrels a year or something like that. That would be the ideal stage, right? And I'm retired from my regular business and I'm doing it full time and I'm spending time with my wife and, that kind of thing.
awesome.
Very good.
All right, guys, let's spin. Let's give some stuff away here. All
I
right.
do have another question. I'll wait, but I do.
No, go ahead, because I've got to bring it up.
I've been holding off on this, Bill, because I didn't want to put you in a position for it to be weird, but I've had bourbon now. So with Wilderness Trails acquisition, how has it changed that side for you?
Yeah, great question. So now we can do some single barrels of this. This is pretty interesting. So, I started out with the one mash bill, right? What's now the Judge. And then I started going, I had to buy some bourbon to make my old McBrayer trademark, which is a 70, 18, 12, which we actually really like. But I started laying down some barrels that were 70, 24, 6 at 105 barrel entry proof. 70, 24, 6, 105 barrel entry. Right.
Finish.
And then they sold. So I was going to make that my old McBrayer product, but then they sold. And then he said, we can't make for you anymore. You need to find something else. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to go all in on this 70, 18, 12 with Barstown bourbon. And then I had that 70, 18, 12 or 70, 21, 6, on the other stuff. Right. Well, it wasn't much longer. Wilderness Trail came back and said, hey, we didn't really mean it. You want to come back? And I'm like, well, I got these other contracts now. So they are contract distilling for people again.
Okay. All right. I didn't know that. All right.
So, now are they making it the same way? I think so. Right. And I don't know, I'm even allowed to talk about all this stuff. So I might get a lawsuit letter in the next couple of days, but and then I'd like to learn how to make it ourselves, but there's a lot of capacity out there for these people to make bourbon and they make it good. And, but I'd like to learn how to do some things that are unique for us and do some things on that property and be kind of fun with it and learn. Because over time, you really want to be fully vertically integrated as a company, right? Because over time, things change. They just change, right? Yeah. And they've changed so much just in the last year. And or two, and so so they're around. There's other people starting up too. Like I think there's gonna that Eastern Lights. I think he's gonna make some really great whiskey over there if they make it right. If they can get going and things. I mean, when you invest $200 million in a distillery these days, I don't know how you make that math work.
Mm-hmm.
So. We're just going to take it slow and we're in this for the long haul. And I don't really care if I make any money. I just don't want to lose money. Right.
Yeah, that's fair. Yep.
Right. And
I completely understand that.
I'll promise you, we're going to do all we can to make sure that legacy continues on.
Thank you.
And
I think it's special.
I can't wait for the days until I can just buy a barrel from you full of whiskey and roll it to my house and shove a tap in it and drink from it when I want.
That'd be awesome.
I'm ready for that to happen again.
And then do what with the empty barrel?
Aged coffee
Oh,
beans.
coffee for sure.
Aged
Yeah.
coffee in it. That's right.
Bill, we got to get you some Drifting Drams coffee if you've not had it yet. That's
No,
what
I've not had
it. Oh, you've had
No.
it?
No, he
I've
has.
not had.
Oh,
No,
you
I
have
have not.
Okay, all right. So
We'll get you some. We'll get with Marty to get your contact info.
Well, I got this new fancy coffee maker in this house, and it grinds the beans up and like presses it like by the cup, and it's like, oh yeah,
Perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
just need to-
roast to order. So
Yep.
fantastic. Maybe
all
we
right,
can do
guys,
some-
let's give some whiskey away.
All right, Marty. Wheel time. Wheel time.
it's gonna be a heck of a wheel.
Let's see if Marty can figure out how to pull up the wheel.
Round it goes.
Oh,
Where it
well
stops, nobody
Easy,
knows.
easy.
wheel.
All right, we're going to shuffle 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The first giveaway will be for the Drifting Drams $15 gift card.
Okay.
So, as the picture shows 5 giveaways, that really is not what's going on now. So, but anyway, here we go for the Drifting Drams gift card. Guys, thank you all for the support. And let's give it.
Well, Marty, we understand it's not really 5. You just can't count any higher than that.
That's the only hand I can do that and hold the camera.
Yeah.
Stindy.
Larkin.
Woo!
Yeah. Congrats, Cindy. That's
I'll,
hilarious.
yeah, Cindy got her order in on the stream. So
Yep.
Trey, just let us know if you want us to refund that.
We can apply
her.
that gift card
Yeah.
to the order.
Yeah.
Or
All
if she
right,
needs
so let's do the Gandy Road 2-ounce sample of the Judge Batch 5. Are you kidding me?
Oh, did you see Trey? Sorry.
No.
He wants you to spin it again.
Yep.
All right, I'll do it. Spin it again for the gift card. This is for the gift card.
Not Jimmy.
So, go ahead and spin again. Jill has enough coffee right now.
Okay.
Spin again.
She's gonna have more this week. Got an order going or
This is
Patreon.
awesome. Thank
Yeah,
you, guys. That's
yeah.
so
I almost
kind.
forgot about that. Core T. He might want it for him and Kelly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Come
I
on,
think
Corty.
that's safe.
Yeah, I think that is safe.
I think that's a safe bet.
If not, Trey can buy it and let somebody else try it.
Yeah.
All
He's
right.
been-
He does plenty of that.
Yep.
He does share. All right, this is for the Gandy sample, the 2-ounce Judge Batch 5.
Oh,
Yes.
perfect.
Yep. Congrats,
Jeez,
Richie.
That's awesome.
Yep.
All right, now let's give away 5 2-ounce samples of some McBrayer. This is number 1, Toby, and I've got it written down.
Yeah, you're just gonna send me the addresses. Yeah. Oh, Lance. Fuck
I
yeah.
can't see the chat, so if that changes, let me know, and I can.
So,
Yeah.
Marty, Top Dog said it looks like you forgot to put him on the wheel. Was he supposed
He's
to be
on
on
there.
Okay.
He's on there.
I just didn't see him.
Where?
We were looking for him.
Right here's one.
Oh, top D.
Oh,
Top D. Okay, that's
Okay.
why.
He's on there.
Because you can't finish letters. Got it.
Yeah. Uh-huh. There you go. There we go. All right, this is for the second one.
Nice.
That'll work.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Congrats, Trey.
Heck yeah.
Y'all watch the chat for me. All right, this is for the third 2-ounce sample from the Top Jimmy.
Oh,
There's
Renee.
those are some of Top Dog's actually.
Yeah, if you spell Top Dog as Renee, you're way off.
Yeah, well, I did because I know who pays the bills. Here's the fourth one. I know who's the boss of that house, by God.
Yeah, where's Jenny?
Oh yeah, Larkin. Yeah, boy.
Congrats, Trey.
That's awesome.
Trey Larkin getting some brown liquor.
All right, last one. Here we go for the 2-ounce samples.
So you're in there, Doc. I'm pretty sure you're in there as fish.
Yeah, he is. He's fish.
JG.
Yeah.
Right on.
I was going to say congrats, but I don't know. Congrats, Krista. How about that?
Yeah, awesome. All right, guys. Thank you all for everything tonight. That was awesome.
That was great.
Around. Don't leave. We got a couple things we want to talk to you about. Well done, all. Absolutely, James. Thursday's up in the air for a live stream. I've got to get with Toby and the guys and see what we might be able to do. We'll see. I don't know what's going on, but anyway, all right, guys, thank you for watching. And I've got one more video coming out this week. It is the barrel bourbon Armagnac finish. So check it out. It actually was pretty solid. So anyway, all right, guys. Toby,
Thanks,
take
everybody.
us out. Thank you, Bill,
Thank you.
for
Thank
everything.
you,
Bill, stick around. Toby, take us out. You know what to do.
Let's see here. Whiskey may not solve all your problems, but it's worth a shot.
There we go. Cheers, everybody.